Can I ask, what's the first thing that went through your mind when you heard about Twitch's death?
Oh, absolute sadness. And I was heartbroken. It rang so similar to Cheslie, who was bubbly and presented herself that way in public. And I didn't know Twitch personally, but I certainly was an admirer of him. What an incredible smile and a bright light. And so when I heard of his passing and that he had passed by suicide, I was absolutely heartbroken for him and his family.
What would you say to Twitch's mother or any parent who is confronted with a tragedy like this?
I don't even know that there are words that would offer extreme comfort, except that I completely understand. Grief, when Cheslie passed, dropped like a fog. And I needed that because the grief felt like that fog felt like it protected me. It kept me from seeing every single thing and forced me to just take one moment at a time. And that would probably be the advice that I would give to his mother and to his beautiful wife and children. Is it literally is just one moment at a time. The life you planned for yourself, the path you were on, literally evaporates, and you find yourself on a whole new path. And that takes time to adjust, and the realization that the path you once thought you were going to be on no longer exists. Give yourself time and space and room to grieve.
Yeah. And your daughter, Cheslie, so dynamic and not just stunningly beautiful and obviously so accomplished. She was an attorney. She used her platform to shine a light. And many look at Twitch's passing and they say, how did this happen? Because he posted 2 or 3 days beforehand, smiling with his wife and kids in front of a Christmas tree. And your daughter also has this most incredible beaming smile. What is your message for what people see on the outside and the battle, the often lonely battle that people can be fighting privately?
I would say this. I, of course, was very close with Cheslie. We both considered each other best friends. There was so much that I knew, so much that I learned about supporting her after her first attempt many years ago. I would say this, that we need to learn to listen differently. Each of us needs to make ourselves a safe space so that those who appear and present the way Cheslie and the way Twitch did can talk and be heard. It has to be completely a judgment-free zone. And when I say that, judgment doesn't sound always like criticism. Sometimes it sounds like minimizing someone's challenge. And after Cheslie passed, I saw the same thing after Twitch passed, which is people identifying all of the great things that they had, beautiful family, lots of accomplishments, but those things are not indicators of depression or of mental illness. Those are accomplishments, but they are not cures for those things. And when we listen and don't minimize, we are able to then create a safe space so that these people can tell us exactly what's going on.
I really appreciate that. And you emphasize, too, the power of using positive language, especially during the holidays, not starting sentences with words like, I wish. What do you say to yourself when you're having a hard time?
I always start with, I'm so grateful, or I'm so thankful that. And it helps me. It doesn't take the sting of grief away, but it certainly redirects my mind and my heart back to a place of appreciation. I often say that I was blessed and fortunate to have Cheslie here for 30 beautiful years, and I keep myself in that place. I miss her desperately every day, every moment of the day. And so when I'm having those moments, I've learned to feel what I feel. I don't try to minimize my own grief. It could be something as simple as seeing something in my home that reminds me of her, that will just bring me to tears, and I just allow myself to be in that moment. And, eventually I move back to a place of where I am honestly right now, which is just overwhelmingly grateful for having her in my life.
And what a beautiful reframe, the idea of how grateful, how thankful that we've been blessed by her for 3 decades. It's really going to stick with me. And we've heard over and over again, check on your loved ones this holiday. What is the message that you want to share? What is actually helpful for someone who may be struggling?
Oh my goodness, it is so important to check on your loved ones. But in doing that, we have to learn how to listen. And I can't emphasize that enough. You know, many times we're almost afraid to hear that someone is challenged. And so we tend to minimize the things that they're saying or dismiss it. And it's so important to not do that. It may seem, in the grand scheme of who they are and their life, that what they're presenting to you is something that they will just move past. But I assure you, if they've brought it up, if they have said it, they're not just moving past it. So learn how to listen and provide support.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.